Welcome back to TSN Motorsports Insider. I'm Daryl Payne. Glad you could be a part of today's show. We have a special guest on the line with us. It's Alan DIETZ, the Public Relations Director of the past Pro All-Star Series. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Daryl, for having me. How are you?
We're doing good. Well, it looks like the race season is slowly becoming closer and closer. Looks like you guys are about 6.5 weeks away from your first race on March 7th in Dillon, South Carolina. Tell the listeners how many races you guys got on the schedule this year.
Yeah, I think we've got 15 confirmed dates right now in the South, and we've got another one that we're going to announce on October the 24th that will give us about 16 races, and we think that race in October is going to be a pretty big deal once we can announce it and get everything situated. But that's just past South, obviously we got past North too that race in New England and Canada. So another big year to pass. We've been doing it now for 10 years in the South, and we've done a really good job, I think, with bringing super late model racing back, and especially in the Carolinas where it was kind of going away. And if you look at where we started to where we are now, it's quite unbelievable.
There is another super late model series that has started in the South, and it's the new car series. How do you think that this guys will affect you in your car count? As we look at the schedule we have posted up on our website, there's no conflicting really race dates, but maybe I think they run one the next day after you guys run one. Do you think that's going to take away from your car count?
I really don't know a whole lot about that deal, and we've seen other series come along. CRA tried to do a South deal, about 5 years ago, the ISA Southeast series, the old Georgia Asphalt series, and I think they found out it wasn't quite as easy as they thought it would be. But honestly, it may affect our car count by a car or two, but I really and honestly don't think it'll have a big effect. I think that the thing that that the racers are going to have to be cognizant of is that deal. I do know that they run on a different tire and different fuel, and the fuel, isn't as big a deal. But, a lot of our competitors, they'll, and it again helps as a cost-saving device, but a lot of our competitors, they'll race one of our 125, 150 lap events, and then when they go to the next race, they'll take those same tires and they'll practice on them. They'll use those used scuffed tires to practice on before they'll put the new tires on that they're going to try to qualify on and race in that next race. And obviously, you're not going to have that luxury if you race that other series and then come and race with us, or vice versa. And I think that's where competitors are going to kind of have to, pick which direction they'll go. But, I think that it'll create more super late models in the Carolinas, and depending on who you look at, some of them who might have more funds are going to want to race as much as they can. So there's nothing to say that we won't gain some cars too.
Now, tell us a little bit, what does people, the edge of racing the past series, have over maybe some of these other super late model series that are out here? Tom's been in the South now, you say, for 10 years. What gives you the edge to have people to want to come race with you guys?
Well, I think we pay good purses, comparatively speaking, to some of the local tracks and to some of the other things that are going on in the South. But I think the biggest thing for us is when you look at the series, whether it's through a variety of engine and weight combinations, body combinations, chassis combinations, things like that, there's somewhere for everybody. We really don't want to exclude people. We want as many folks to come and race with us as we can. So through those combinations of weights and engines and different things like that, we're able to bring a lot of cars, have good car counts. The fans like that. You see, certain engine combinations run better at other racetracks than they do at others. But I think that's been the thing that's helped us the most over the years.
Tom, being the promoter he is, and Tom is probably one of the best. Tom comes from the old school. He knows how to promote a series and how to promote tracks and stuff. And I think that, Alan, if you agree with me, that gives Tom a big advantage over a lot of these guys that are what we say here today, gone tomorrow type promoters. Would you not agree?
I do, and I think the other thing about Tom is Tom's a racer. You know, Tom came into it as a driver, and when he quit driving, this was another way to keep him involved, and it wasn't an avenue for him to sell things, you know, and he didn't come into it as a businessman purely just trying to make money as a businessman. So he understands the racers, and he empathizes with them a lot, and he's tough, but he's fair, and he tries to give these guys as much opportunity and chance as he can. And at the same time, he's got a good eye for what the fans want. You know, when he came down in 2006 and he started the North Series in 2001, as far as asphalt racing goes, nobody was doing double file restarts. Everybody was counting caution laps. They were things that weren't being done down here. Now everybody does them. So, you know, you kind of got to look at it and say imitation's the best form of flattery or a variety of that old saying. People have adopted some things that he's been doing for a long time.
And I agree with that. The things that Tom has put into his series that wasn't done back then, everybody seemed to have jumped on the bandwagon. As we look down here at your schedule, any new tracks has been added this year that hasn't been on the schedule in the past?
Well, as far as the South goes, we're going to Kingsport, Tennessee for the first time. I think it's on May 8th, Friday, May the 8th. And that'll be the first time that we've ever raced at Kingsport. And then we're returning to several racetracks that we haven't been to for at least a couple of years. We're going back to Myrtle Beach, added a second race at Caraway, added a second race at Anderson, South Carolina. We hadn't had the chance to race at Anderson. Didn't have it on the schedule last year, and the year before that, the race got rained out. So it's the first time in a few years that we've been able to go to Anderson. And another race that we're really excited about is our race on Friday, May 22nd at Concord Speedway. Concord has not had a race on their half mile since we raced there in November of 2012. You know, that month of May is going to be big, going to Kingsport, going to Concord, and both of those events also being paired up with Tacoma Modifieds. We're racing with Tacoma Modifieds, I think, 3 or 4 times this year, and hope to build on that, hope that goes well to where maybe we can do some more combination races next year. But, you know, I know a lot of people have been wanting to see that half mile at Concord going again. They love seeing the super late models like used to race in the old Big Ten series there. But a lot of people have missed seeing those modifieds there since the North-South Shootout moved away. It's going to be the same weekend as the 600 at Charlotte. So that's going to be a big weekend at Concord, and we're definitely looking forward to it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I spent about 12 years as a NASCAR chief starter at the Concord Motor Speedway and seen a lot of Big Ten races. And I can remember the year that Henry Furr put the dog leg in the back of it. We finished the race up in, I think, November, and we come back in March for the first Big Ten race, and Henry put that dog leg in it, and that is one fast racetrack through that dog leg. And I'm telling you, I'm excited to see the guys go back to Concord. That track was built for super late models.
Well, I like to say, you look at that legacy of what the Big Ten series was, and, you know, it went from, you know, I think 1990 or so to the early 2000s, and then came back briefly in the mid-2000s. But, you know, guys like Rich Bickle and Dax Sprague and people coming from all over the country to race Freddie Query and you know, all the big names that were racing at Concord at that time. And these past South super late models, if you aren't familiar with them, are, you know, the same types of cars that were called late model sportsmen back in the late 80s. Same type of cars, similar to the old all-pro cars and those Big Ten cars. So, yeah, that's going to be a great race for sure.
It's always great racing at Concord with the super late models. I see you guys are traveling back to South Boston. That's another great racetrack that's on the schedule.
Yeah, we've had a great relationship with South Boston for a number of years. We held the first Mason-Dixon meltdown there back in 2006, and Tom has got a great relationship with Kathy Rice, and they work really well together. And the thing I like about those South Boston races is when we go to South Boston, we'll get to race alongside the NASCAR late model stocks. They'll have twin 75 lappers in addition to our single 150 lappers. You're going to get to see two twin 75s for the NASCAR late model stocks, and then the 150 for the Pass South Super Late models, and that's going to happen twice. We'll do that in June, and then we'll do it again in August. And those have been some great shows. We've had good car counts there. They get good late model stock car counts there. And again, kind of like pairing with those Coleman modifieds, it's just a good opportunity to see some different drivers and different types of cars from different backgrounds getting a race on the same night.
I agree with you. Again, we want to make sure that everybody's listening. Mark these dates down. It's June the 6th at South Boston Speedway, and the next race is going to be August the 15th at South Boston Speedway for the Pass Pro All-Star Series. You get to see late models, NASCAR late models, plus these super fast super late models. Tell you what we'll do. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come right back and talk some more with Alan DIETZ, the Public Relations Director of the Pass Pro All-Star Series. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to TSN's Motorsports Insider. We're talking with Alan DIETZ, the Public Relations Director for the Pass Pro All-Star Series, about the upcoming 2015 season. Alan, as we took a break and we were talking about South Boston, is one of those racetracks that has been around forever. And we look on the schedule, two of the most historical tracks that NASCAR has, Greenville-Pickens Speedway and the Hickory Motor Speedway. Let's talk about Greenville. Now, did you guys go to Greenville last year?
Yeah, we actually started the season at Greenville last year in March, and then raced at Greenville in July, which we'll be doing the same thing this year, racing at Greenville on July the 3rd. And, raced at Greenville several times between 2008 and 10, but didn't race there for a few years, and glad that we've been able to get back there here these last couple of years.
And Greenville-Pickens is always a great place to go see a race on that flat half-mile racetrack. And as the season winds down, we look November 21st is going to be the last race at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Now, is that going to be the Mason-Dixon race, or is that? It's
the first time we've had the Mason-Dixon at Hickory, and Hickory has got so much history and so many different ways whenever you look at it, and it's got a lot of history for us. It's where the first Pass South race was held back in 2006, and we've always done great there. The races have been great there. We get most of the time the best car count of the year at Hickory, and for the Easter Bunny 150, which will be back there again on Easter weekend in April. But the Mason-Dixon be just as good at Hickory. The last Pass North race is, I think, the first week in October, so those guys are going to have opportunity on October 24th, and then the North-South Shootout at Caraway, and then finally the Mason-Dixon Meltdown at Hickory. If they still want to race, they're going to have the opportunity to come down. And we always get a pretty good crop of the northern drivers to come down for the races at Hickory, and we expect the same for the Mason-Dixon coming up in November.
Now, we know in the past the Easter Bunny 150 has been a combination race between the North and the South. Is there any other races on the schedule this year that has a combination of both the Pass North and South, Alan?
Yeah, we have announced 4 of our national races, and we've still got to announce our remaining national races, but right now, the Pass National Series, which again is a separate series between the North and the South drivers, still count for South points, but you're also racing for national points. It'll start at Anderson Motor Speedway with the Electric City 150 coming up on Saturday, March 21st. That'll be the first Pass National race this year. In the Easter Bunny 150, that'll be the second Pass National race. And then a couple of northern races. First time that Pass has raced at Airborne Park Speedway up in Plattsburgh, New York. Big, nice half-mile speedway up there. And then, of course, I believe that's in July. And then, of course, the really big one, the 42nd Annual Oxford 250. Moving to August this year, the last weekend in August 30th and 31st, $25,000 going to the winner, the biggest single-day motorsports event in the world. And that's not an exaggeration. And when people ask us how we come up with that, it pays better than a race like the Snowball Derby or anything else like that. But besides that, yeah, you'll see some practice on Friday and Saturday of the Oxford 250 weekend. But as far as qualifying and everything else goes, it happens in one day. All the heat races will be on Sunday, no qualifying, all heat races. So there's some luck of the draw there. But then you get some last chance races, and then ultimately the 250 with live pit stops, and as I said, $25,000 going to the winner, in addition to $25,000 potentially in lap leader money as well.
And Oxford has always been a home for big races. I can remember back in the 70s and 80s, everybody went to Oxford to big late model sports races. I remember our hometown NASCAR Hall of Famer Jack Ingram and Tommy Houston and Sam Ard, and all these guys going to Oxford, Maine for a big race. And if you're in that area or want to get away, and that's a great place to visit. And I understand this is a great race to attend. Alan, tell us about the tickets price for that Oxford race. Do you have any idea what they're going to cost?
I honestly don't know. I know that there's combination, and I apologize for that. I don't have it right in front of me, but I know that there's combination tickets for the entire weekend, and you can also get single day tickets. But you could go to OxfordPlains.com and also go to ProAllStarSeries.com. I think we've already, I mean, this is January. This race is the end of August, and there's already somewhere around 20 drivers that have registered. I don't mean have said that they're coming. I mean have sent their entry forms in, sent their money in, and are planning on coming. And we've got those drivers listed on the website at ProAllStarSeries.com. But we're really anticipating to have around 70 super late models for that race this year.
That is an outstanding field. As we were talking just a few minutes ago about the Mason-Dixon at Hickory Speedway this year, when will tickets become available for that big event, and what kind of car count do you guys look in the Mason-Dixon race at Hickory?
You know, all of our South races, and really and honestly, all of the North races with the exclusion at Oxford 250, everything's day of. You know, you don't have to worry about, purchasing a ticket because you're concerned about getting the best seat or anything like that. Most of the racetracks you can see well at anyway, but, you can just purchase a ticket day of and you can see it anywhere in the grandstands. I really and honestly, when you look at the Easter Bunny 150 and that race is in the spring, I think the fewest cars that we've got for that race in the last 5 or 6 years is 37, and the most that we ever had was 53 or 54. Those days are kind of over with. As far as getting that many cars, I think, but I still think you're going to be somewhere there around 40 for the Easter Bunny. And I think the same thing for the Mason-Dixon. It's just a racetrack that a lot of guys in the South like to come to. A lot of the teams are, based around Mooresville and Charlotte, Winston-Salem and Raleigh, and that's really not that far for any of those teams to go. But the northern teams like to go, and I don't have any doubt that we'll be in the high 30s or the low 40s for that race.
Well, we look forward to a great season. Again, we'll remind everybody the season kicks off March the 7th at Dillon. Then they'll travel to Anderson Motor Speedway, and they'll start off the season the next month in Hickory on April the 4th. Then they'll conclude that month, April the 25th at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Again, Alan said you can go over to the Pro All-Star Series website. We have a link from TSN's website over to the Pro All-Star Series. When you read the news and stuff, go over and take a look at the complete schedule and plan to spend these weekends at some great short track racing with probably the fastest things that run short track with the past Pro All-Star Series. Alan, thank you so much for spending time with us here on TSN's Motorsports Insider, and we look forward to seeing you guys this year at the track.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for